As we were travelling yesterday to Chauvigny, we passed Joe's ex-boyfriend's house, which he now rents out. He's moved, and it got me thinking about how it seems much easier in France for young people to own property. Um, Joe's first house is now rented out to tenants, and she now lives with her. Well, she doesn't live with her boyfriend. She and her boyfriend, her partner, bought a house between them that has a gîte attached to it. He has a house that he's owned for a while. I don't even know if he's got a mortgage on it, that isn't rented out, that he needs to do stuff to. And he's actually living in an apartment in Switzerland where he's working. So it just got me thinking, how different is it in the UK when you're in your, I'm talking about there. He's in his mid-30s, she's in her, no, I think he's in his late 30s, she's in her coming up to mid-40s, and they own quite a bit of property between them. They don't own it, they have mortgages on it. But in France, it's the mortgages are so, repayments are so cheap. I'm wondering whether that's what makes the difference. So I'm just going to read a little bit, and then I'm going to get this in a more comfortable position, because at the moment I'm holding it so that I can read what I've looked up on the internet. I'm looking at Wise, who are money trying to balance you. Balance you on there. Money transfer people, and they say on average French mortgage rates are between 1.5% or 2.5%. Now that's really low, isn't it? I don't know what they are in the UK. I used to sell mortgages years ago, back in the early 90s, and mortgage rates were absolutely phenomenal back then. Apparently, it says although they've been as low as 0.9%. However, the rate you'll be offered can vary depending on the amount you borrow, the loan to value rate, the mortgage type and duration, and the property and your residency status. And I know that what they do here is they look at your earnings, and they work out that you can only borrow. I'm just going to go down because it might say that. Don't fall off there. You can only borrow a certain percentage of your salary. They insist that a chunk of your salary is left for you for leisure, which is very French, isn't it? Life work balance and everything. So there is a strict debt to income checks, and to get a mortgage in France, your financial liabilities, which includes mortgage payments, rent, or other loan repayments, mustn't add up to more than 35% of your household income, which is good, because it means that you leave yourselves room for manoeuvre rather than borrowing up to the hilt. Okay, I'm going to get you more. You're probably quite comfortable, but I'm not, because I'm having to hold this. So I'm going to move. That's better. The other thing that I remember is that when you take out your mortgage, your interest rate is fixed. So depending on, obviously what it is at the outset, that and mortgages are normally for about 20 years. That's all you'll be paying. So that's fixed for the term of the mortgage, which is just amazing. You get a mortgage at 3% interest, and that you're never going to have to pay more than that. I just think it's incredible. It certainly wasn't like that in the UK, especially when I was, as I say, selling mortgages in an estate agents. It's like, especially at that time in the early 90s, you really didn't know what the mortgage rate was going to be the next day, and mortgages were just ridiculously high. So it just fascinates me, and you can buy houses here, perfectly habitable, for less than €75,000, which is in reach of a lot of people, I think. And the average, I don't know what the average house price in the UK is now. It's probably in the 300s. I really don't know, but it's here you can own property, and I mean, if you choose to, not everybody chooses to, but you can own property if that's what your choice. Um, and I think young people in the UK, it's a struggle. It's a struggle, and if they can't own a property, then if they rent a property, they're not really. It's no easier. They're no better off because rents are phenomenally high. So I really feel for young people. I feel lucky, and I think for us, being second time round relationships, that we lost money in separating and divorce. So there was a loss there. So any gain that had been made with owning a property, a lot of that would have been lost in the breakup. So when we got together, we were starting again, starting afresh, and that I have, I'm so happy with life here and with my husband. But I envy those people that have been together for years and years and years, and have benefited from the value of their property because they paid their mortgage off, in their, I don't know how old they were, and they're living mortgage free. I mean, we're living mortgage free, but we had to do it a different way. We couldn't have done that in the UK. Had we stayed in our cottage in Devon, which was, ramshackle at the back and needed rebuilding, we worked out that we would have needed to remortgage. I say because Mark is 74, and so that then him being older than me, and I was unhappy about him working. I thought that he was quite stressed. In fact, I was stressed as well, but I didn't recognise it in myself. So what would have happened was that had we stayed there and decided to go ahead and rebuild, for which we had plans, we'd had plans drawn up, and it was really lovely. I would have had to have remortgaged, and I would have been working until I was 2010, 80, 60, 10, or something like that. Stupid age. Because he would retire well before the mortgage ended, so it would be me that would have to do that. And I realised that that situation wouldn't have worked for us, because he is a just-in-time man. And back then, it doesn't happen so much now since we've been doing the intermittent fasting, but back then I'd get hangry, and I needed meals to be when I expected them to be, and I would have come home from work expecting there to be a meal on the go, getting the meal ready and things like that. That wouldn't have happened. He would have been, we would have had his head stuck in a bloody Dornier 17 or a tank or whatever else he was building, and he loses sense of time, I'm sure, when he's doing that. He's absolutely absorbed by what he's doing. So he would have been dead because I would have killed him. So that's part of the reason that we came here, was so that we could both retire and live comfortably and live mortgage free, rather than me working into my 80s to rebuild a lovely house, have the beautiful view over the river and all of that, but actually working myself into the ground to do that. And lots of people end up having to do that. The only way they can keep a roof above their heads is to work themselves into the ground, and I think that's really tough. So, yeah, I'm very happy that we made the decisions we made, and very happy. As I say, I didn't realise quite how stressed I was at work. I was getting quite a bit of extra support in terms of I had an external supervisor who was a psychoanalyst, and I had my own therapist who was a transactional analyst. And I was getting supervision on one of my private clients. So I was driving to Bodmin for supervision on a particularly difficult private client. So I was getting quite a bit of that was how I took care of my needs. So I was getting quite a lot of support, but it wasn't, and I didn't realise how stressed I was until we got here, and even until we got here in this house, because we didn't get here first. We were 4 months at San Pierre de Maillet, and it wasn't until we got here and life began to normalise and we began to get on with life that I realised quite how stressed I'd been, and it took a long time to recover from that and moving and all of that. So I'm pleased that we came here. So yeah, living in France, buying in France is easier on younger people, and I just find it fascinating that Joe's ex-boyfriend has a house and lives elsewhere, and Joe has a house and lives elsewhere, and her partner has a house and, well, he has 2 houses and lives elsewhere. That wouldn't happen in the UK, would it? I've been thinking about, and I need a little bit longer to think about it. I've been was thinking about a metaphor about crumbling facades, about how we have a facade, and how, what we do with that, what we do behind that facade, and what happens if we don't show what's beneath the facade. So I suppose what happens if we're not authentic. But I haven't thought it through completely yet, so I'm gonna save that for another vlog. It makes sense to me what I'm mulling over. Make no sense to you at all. But do I ever? I don't always make sense, and I don't do these for that reason. This morning I have 993 subscribers, which means that, I mean, it's really sort of building very quickly, which means that probably by this evening or by tomorrow I'll have 1,000 subscribers, which will mean my channel will become monetized. And I have made a decision that, I don't know, once a month or whatever, I will always talk about and show you how much this channel earned me, and I will also show you what I did with that money, because as I've said before, I'm not doing this for money. It's exciting to be reaching 1,000 subscribers. I can't deny that. I guess it's just a goal for YouTubers. It's exciting to reach that point because I didn't think I'd have 1,000 subscribers. You know, when I started, I was just doing stuff, and I didn't think people would be that interested, and there are still people that aren't. There are still people making negative comments in other vlogs because I have turned the comments off in the Chateau vlog. Somebody even told me that it's not a vlog, it's a blog, vlog, whatever. And I'm thinking, oh really? Like, fuck off. I know that. I'm just taking the piss. That's what they call it on Tattle. They call it a flog, and I thought actually Kathy's flog in France sounds better. Anyway, I've sort of, oh bloody hell, I've diversified there, and I think I've said fuck, so that's good, isn't it? It wouldn't be a flog from me without fuck. So yeah, so maybe by tomorrow I'll be monetized, and I will always talk about and show what I'm earning. I'm not planning to go off into the sunset with all my money. This tells you I don't need the money. I am going down to the phone shop tomorrow, and I'm going to upgrade my phone. I was talking to Phil about a GoPro, and I said to him, I'm just about to buy a GoPro because I got some money in my account that I didn't use for the wood, and I thought I can buy a GoPro. I'm just about to buy a PoFro. Is there anything I need to know before I do it? And luckily he replied, because I'm very, what does Sophie call me? Impulsive. Luckily he replied and he went, are you ready for editing yet? And I said, because I don't edit, as you know, and I said, but there's an SD card in it. And he said, but yeah, you can't pause it. So you end up with several files that you need to string together. And I thought, oh, bollocks. So we had a bit of a chat, and he said, well, why don't you get an iPhone? And I don't know why I thought I'm not going to get an iPhone, because I have a contract phone. It's a Samsung phone. Nothing special, because, I mean, up until recently, I only needed it for a phone. It's only in the last 9 months that I've started to use it for vlogging, so it didn't really matter. But actually, realising that I can upgrade my Samsung to a Samsung, I think it's an S20, and that's stabilised. So that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. So I know this tablet, I know we're not moving, but when I used this and walked up the road with it the other day, it was really quite steady, apparently. But, you know, walking around with a tablet and pointing it is not quite the same. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm not spending my monetization on that, because that's not what I'm doing. I'm buying it out of my money, and when I get my $1 monetization for the month, I'll let you know. Okay, not sure when you're going to get this. I've got several lined up now. I'm getting ahead of myself, which is probably a good plan, because when we have guests here, I'm obviously not going to be able to vlog in the way that I do now. You know, I'm vlogging quite a lot during the day, on and off. I think, oh, I'm going to talk about that. So I'm getting ahead of myself, and that's probably a good thing. So you'll get this eventually. Okay, have a good day.